Hi everyone, I'm back again with just a couple of slides on cooperative learning. This is not detailed. I'm not going to show you how to do it. Uh, I know there's trainings that go on that last for days on how to do cooperative learning. You can find a lot of resources on the web by Googling cooperative learning. The two gurus that I'm aware of are Kagan and Johnson, who've done extensive work on cooperative learning. And many teachers, I know when I was a high school principal, my teachers were trained in cooperative learning. They went in, and that was it. The bad part about professional development, many professional developments, is that you get the training, but there's no follow-up. The principal isn't in your classroom, or the instructional coach isn't in your classroom saying, okay, let's try it, let's see how it's going, and then giving you feedback on how it worked. So teachers would go in, try cooperative learning. The most aggressive student, or the most knowledgeable student, or the most personable student would take over the group, and one person would do the work, everyone would get the credit. So this is something that cooperative learning is not. It's not just group work. So that's important. And then if you're putting cooperative learning into your lesson plan, then you better describe it in a way that it shows that it is true cooperative learning if you're going to use research to support it. So, why cooperative learning? One, students are stakeholders in their own learning. All learners are active participants. We're talking about engagement now. If you're doing an EdTPA lesson plan, the big thing is, are students engaged? So if you're in front of the room talking and 30 students are sitting on the rug listening, that's not engagement. That's not active learning. So you need to use groups. In high school, I used to call it the 10-2 principle. After 10 minutes of teacher talking, you needed to do at least 2 minutes of processing. But for an EdTPA lesson, I would say most of your lesson, I think it's 15 minutes, is the most you can have in your video. I would say 10 of those 15 minutes at least should be of student engagement and formative assessment. Students learn social skills such as cooperation and conflict resolution, taking turns, active listening, and those are skills that you just don't expect students to have. You have to teach them how to do that, and that's where a lot of my high school teachers fell down. They just assumed kids knew how to do it, and when they didn't, they say, see, cooperative learning doesn't work. I said, of course it doesn't work, because students have never been taught these skills. How to ask questions, probing questions without insulting people, without shutting them down. So social skills are big. Projects are designed to be interesting yet challenging. Teachers sometimes learn and sometimes teach. Teachers encourage differing opinions, and students demonstrate mutual respect. So to do true cooperative learning, there should be 5 characteristics of it, and these are the elements. So when you're using your definition in vocabulary in your own words, you should have these 5 characteristics in it. It's group work where students demonstrate positive interdependence. In other words, they depend on each other. One way to do that is to assign roles. You're the timekeeper, you're the recorder, etc., etc. You're the moderator, you're the mediator. And it's also face-to-face interaction. So it's not parallel play. It's not, okay, I'm doing this part over here and I'm doing this part over here. They're working together. They're facing each other. They're knees to knees, as I call it. Next is individual accountability. Somehow you have to build in that individual accountability, like numbered heads together is one way to do it, assigning a number to each student and then saying, okay, I'm going to call on number 2 in this group. I'm going to call on number 3 in this group. So students don't know who's being called on. Another way is just to give an assessment that each student has to pass to show that they've learned what that group was supposed to do. And that's what your grade should be depend on. Never grade students on group work, because it's not fair. It's not fair that one group works well together, they get an A. This group is struggling, They may be getting the material. They may, if you give them a test, they may all ace it, but they're struggling on the group part of it. So you have individual accountability, interpersonal and small group skills. As I mentioned in the first slide, they have to be taught, and then they have to process. How did we do? And that's part of cooperative learning. These last two parts where you teach skills on cooperative learning, and then you process. How did we do? And there are a lot of checklists on the web about, if you just Google checklist for cooperative learning strategy or cooperative learning processing or something of that nature, you'll find it. So this is the basis of cooperative learning. If you use this as a definition, group work that includes positive interdependence, face-to-face interaction, individual accountability, interpersonal teaching interpersonal and small group skills, and reflecting on how the group reflecting on how the group worked together. And somehow do that in your own words. That will do. So that's my little spiel on cooperative learning.